My name is Jennifer Williams. I work as a biochemist in the Research and Development Department at a pharmaceutical company in San Francisco. Every day spent working on new drug development is incredibly fulfilling. Every Sunday, I attend service at the First Presbyterian Church of San Francisco, and sometimes I volunteer to teach science classes for children. My days were peaceful and fulfilling, at least until that day. My parents live in the upscale Presidio Heights neighborhood of San Francisco. My mother Martha is a former high school teacher. She's someone who cares deeply about her reputation at church and always wears the latest Chanel suits. Appearances are everything is her favorite saying. Just the other day at a church gathering, she was showing off my sister's expensive handbag. My father George runs a real estate company and makes over $300,000 a year. He has an intimidating personality and always looks down on family members. His catchphrase is, "Since I'm providing the money, it's only natural that you do as I say," and he tries to control the family with money. My sister Caroline lives in a Victorian house in Pacific Heights. She proudly tells everyone she meets about her 20,000 Instagram followers. Saying, "I'm an influencer," she spends all day taking selfies. Her husband Stephen is a middle manager at an IT company and is a workaholic. They seem to hardly have time to look after their children, 8-year-old Michael and 6-year-old Emma. Even when they're home, they're constantly staring at their laptops. I live alone in a luxury condominium in the Marina District. Though I'm not married yet, I'm content with my current life. My salary at Genentech is more than adequate, and above all, spending time with Michael and Emma brings me joy. Every weekend, I buy fresh ingredients at the Ferry Building Marketplace and bake homemade apple pies with the children. Such small moments of happiness give meaning to my life. I secretly provide $500 monthly for the children's education expenses. I also make sure to help them with their studies using Khan Academy. While my parents give my sister's family $1,000 monthly in support, they provide nothing for me. But I don't mind that. Weekday pickups and drop-offs for after-school activities, weekend homework support, sports days, and classroom visits, I try to be there for the children as much as possible. Michael is sensitive and loves books. When I take him to the California Academy of Sciences, he's the kind of child who can spend hours in front of the exhibits. Just the other day, he enthusiastically explained to me about the dinosaur exhibit. "Aunt Jenny, this is a life-size Tyrannosaurus skeleton." My heart melted seeing his eyes sparkle with excitement. Emma, on the other hand, is bright and sociable. But her mother Caroline was too busy taking selfies and didn't even come to her daughter's ballet recital. Emma's lonely expression that day still pierces my heart. It was time to plan our annual Hawaii trip. Building sandcastles on Waikiki Beach, watching tropical fish at the aquarium, my memories with the children are my treasures. This year, my sister has apparently proposed a special family trip. Yesterday, Emma said on the phone, "Aunt Jenny, you're coming with us this year too, right? I want to build sandcastles again like last year." That innocent voice still rings in my ears. I answered, "Of course, sweetheart." Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, the early summer sunlight was streaming through the large glass windows. I had arrived 30 minutes early and was waiting for my family at a cafe near the Hawaiian Airlines check-in counter, sipping a lavender honey latte. I couldn't sleep last night from excitement and had been up since 4 a.m., checking my luggage multiple times. Next to my suitcase was a bag containing surprise gifts for the children. For Michael, I had bought the beginner telescope he'd been wanting, and for Emma, new ballet shoes and a leotard. How I had looked forward to stargazing together in Hawaii. Last weekend, when I read an astronomy book with Michael, his eyes sparkled as he told me, Hawaii has less light pollution, so you can see the Milky Way clearly. That expression of pure joy is still etched in my heart. Around me, the cheerful voices of families filled the air. I couldn't help but smile seeing a little girl pulling her parents' hands. She was wearing a pink dress just like Emma's. A long line had already formed at the counter, with everyone smiling in anticipation of their vacation. A father in a Hawaiian shirt was standing in line with his young son on his shoulders. That scene felt somehow nostalgic and a little bittersweet. 9:15, still no sign of my family. Probably my sister had overslept. It's typical of her. I remembered how last month she was 30 minutes late to the children's school observation day and had to apologize to the teacher. I tried calling my parents on my cell phone. No answer. I tried my sister's number too. Again, no one picked up. They know the flight time. Thinking this, I checked social media. There were no new posts on my sister's Instagram. Strange. Usually, she never fails to post her breakfast photos. Yesterday's post was a selfie showing off her newly purchased Gucci sunglasses. Anxiety began to grow slowly. I tried calling again. 3 times for my mother, 5 times for my sister, twice for my father. All went to voicemail. Messages weren't being read either. Something wasn't right. Had there been an accident? Or was someone ill? Sweat began to form on my palms. I took a sip of the cafe's ice water and took a deep breath. Outside the window, maintenance crew were performing their routine aircraft checks. There was something mechanically precise about their movements. 30 minutes until boarding time. The waiting area was gradually emptying. Passengers whose names were called headed toward their gates one after another. I could feel my heartbeat gradually getting faster. Hawaiian Airlines Flight 123 to Honolulu is now boarding. First-class passengers, please have your tickets ready. At that moment, my smartphone vibrated. There was a new post in the family group. When I opened the screen, I couldn't believe what I saw. By the pool at the Royal Hawaiian, a luxury hotel on Waikiki Beach. There were my parents and my sister's family, taking selfies with bright smiles. My father wore new expensive sunglasses, and my mother was dressed in a white resort dress. Michael and Emma wore slightly troubled expressions. The caption, "Arrived in Hawaii with family." The start of the best time, stabbed at my eyes. Then came a message from my mother. This trip is for a real family only. You probably wouldn't understand, but someone who isn't married and doesn't have children can't understand the true meaning of family. It's about time you stopped meddling with other people's children. An additional message arrived from my sister. Please take care of our kids and dog. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Check my Instagram stories. Oh, and there are ingredients the kids like in the fridge, so make sure to cook for them properly. But don't take any photos, it would affect my social media image. The smiling faces of my family on the screen. Those were expressions without a trace of guilt after abandoning me. The post already had comments like, "What a wonderful family trip. Ideal family life. So envious." Each one cut into my heart like blades of ice. My father hadn't written anything, but his silence itself showed his agreement. It's always like that. Father never directly condemns. He just approves through silence. Sometimes that passive complicity leaves the deepest wounds. The surrounding bustle felt like it was from another world. Through the airport's large windows, I could see planes taking off one after another. As I watched the aircraft ascending into the blue sky, I was strengthening my resolve. "Don't worry, Michael, Emma." I repeated those words in my heart many times. This isn't just about revenge. The time has come for me to do what only I can do for their true happiness. I arrived at the luxurious house in Pacific Heights that evening. When I opened the heavy Victorian-style door, Maria the maid was standing in the living room furnished with expensive pieces. She approached me with an apologetic expression. "Ms. Williams," Mrs. Peyton suddenly instructed. "It's all right, Maria. You can go home. I'll take care of things here." I heard footsteps coming down the stairs, and Michael and Emma came running out. "Aunt Jenny." They ran to me and hugged me tightly. There were traces of tears on Emma's cheeks. "Why did Mom and Dad leave us behind?" Michael's voice was trembling. "Mom and Dad just keep taking pictures. Are we in their way?" I hugged them gently and kissed their foreheads. "You're never in the way. You're my precious treasures." From that day, a new life began. We started by establishing a regular daily routine. Wake up at 7 a.m., homemade breakfast. Oatmeal topped with maple syrup and fresh blueberries, whole wheat toast with homemade apple jam. Emma's eyes sparkled as she said, "This is so much better than Mom's." I handled school drop-offs and pickups. As the head of the research and development department, I could adjust my working hours somewhat flexibly. My colleagues at the lab were understanding and allowed me to work from home 2 days a week. Evenings were for homework support. We'd use Khan Academy for math tutoring or enjoy science experiments together. Michael showed particular interest in science and loved hearing about the microscopes I use in the lab. Emma made piano practice her daily routine, and I would watch over her progress while turning the sheet music pages. On holidays, we went to various places. At the California Academy of Sciences, Michael would stop in front of the dinosaur exhibit and start giving detailed explanations. "Aunt Jenny, this fossil is from the late Cretaceous period." He was like a little professor. At the aquarium, Emma would quietly say, "I wonder if these fish are in Hawaii too." Those words squeezed my heart. We had picnics at Golden Gate Park. While munching on homemade sandwiches, the children gradually opened up their hearts. "Mom only smiles when taking Instagram photos," said Emma. "Dad's always on work calls. He didn't even come to my science presentation," said Michael. I quietly began recording such conversations. Using my smartphone's voice memo function, I collected their honest feelings about loneliness and anxiety. I never forced them. I gently gathered their true feelings from natural conversations. I took photos too. But not like my sister's staged social media shots. Serious expressions while doing homework, concentrated profiles while playing piano, innocent smiles while playing in the park. I carefully documented the children's authentic moments. I also began keeping their essays. In an essay titled "My Family," Emma wrote, "Aunt Jenny always listens to me. She always comes to my ballet recitals. Even though Mom doesn't come, I can do my best because Aunt Jenny is there clapping for me." Meanwhile, flashy posts continued on social media. My sister's Instagram was filled with daily photos from Hawaii. Best family time. Making wonderful memories with my beloved children. But the children's expressions in those photos looked somehow empty. I made sure to back up all the voice recordings, saved photos to multiple cloud storage services, and scanned all the children's essays to digitize them, storing the originals in the safe at my home. Then, 3 days before their return, Michael knocked on my bedroom door. "Aunt Jenny, I have something to tell you," he continued with a trembling voice. "You know, I've always wanted to say this. I wish you were my real mom." When I heard those words, tears streamed from my eyes. But they weren't tears of sadness, they were proof of my determination for the battle that was about to begin. Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. I held the children's hands gently while watching the arrival gate. The arrival announcement for Hawaiian Airlines Flight 426 appeared. Michael squeezed my hand tightly. Emma clung nervously to the hem of my dress. Passengers began emerging from the arrival gate. First appeared my mother, Martha, dressed in a new Chanel dress and wearing large sunglasses. Behind her, my sister Caroline appeared, immediately taking out her smartphone to start taking selfies. My father George was quietly pulling his suitcase. Her husband Stephen was, predictably, walking while looking at his open laptop. "Oh, children. Mommy's back." Caroline came running with open arms. However, Michael and Emma stood still behind me, hiding. "What's wrong?" "It's Mommy. Come here," Mother said in a saccharine voice. But the children clung to me even more. "I don't want to go back." Emma's small voice was heard. "We want to live with Aunt Jenny," Michael said clearly. At those words, Mother's expression froze. Father frowned, and my sister hurriedly put away her smartphone. People around us began to notice the strange atmosphere and stopped walking. "What are you saying? We're your real family, aren't we?" Caroline's voice cracked slightly. "Real family?" I spoke quietly but with a firm voice. "Then, shall we talk about what a real family is?" I took out my smartphone. Mother straightened her back defensively. I played the first recording. "Mom, why didn't you come to my ballet recital? Everyone else's mom was there." Emma's crying voice. "Dad, I got an excellence award in science. I asked you to come see." Michael's disappointed voice. Then I showed the photos. I displayed the glamorous family photos posted on Instagram alongside the daily photos I had taken. The contrast between the forced smiles for social media and the hollow expressions in reality. This is the reality of what you call us real family. As Mother was about to speak, shutter sounds from smartphones began to be heard around us. Airport staff were approaching with concerned looks. "Be quiet. This is a family matter," Mother shouted. Her voice echoed through the airport lobby. Yes, you're right. This is a family matter. I continued calmly. That's exactly why we should properly listen to how the children really feel, shouldn't we? I continued playing the recordings. The children's daily confessions. Their loneliness, anxiety, and above all, lack of affection. Aunt Jenny listens to me. Aunt Jenny helps me with my science homework. Mom's always on her phone. Dad's always working. Each word resonated as a heavy truth. The color drained from Father's face. My sister began crying, and Stephen finally looked up from his laptop. That's a lie. We're a perfect family, Caroline shouted. Her voice was slightly trembling. A perfect family? Michael stepped forward. Then why don't you know my favorite food? Why don't you remember my sister's shoe size? Emma continued. Aunt Jenny remembers. She knows all about my least favorite vegetables, my favorite fairy tales, everything. That's when Father spoke for the first time. Wait, let's talk about this. This is a public place. Yes, it is a public place, I said matter-of-factly. Perhaps that makes it an appropriate place to speak the truth. Just as you've been staging a false family image in the public space of social media. Mother suddenly changed color. Several people were already recording this scene on their smartphones. I could see acquaintances from church. Please, stop. Mother's voice became small. Mom, I won't stop anymore. For the children's sake too. Michael and Emma stood on either side of me, holding my hands with their small ones. Their warmth told me this decision was right. Please grant me partial custody of the children, I said in a clear tone. Weekend custody rights, authority over educational decisions, and financial management. Such a thing can't be allowed. My sister screamed. Yes, it can. I took out a stack of the children's essays. These are records that the school counselor has reviewed. Teachers' observations are attached as well. A heavy silence fell over the airport lobby. Dad, Mom, Emma said in a small voice. We want to live with Aunt Jenny. But we love you too. So, couldn't we all become a real family? Those words began to thaw the frozen atmosphere. Father's hard expression began to crumble. Tears started flowing from Mother's eyes, ruining her makeup, but she didn't care. What have we been doing? Mother whispered. My sister nearly collapsed to her knees, and her husband supported her. The people around had forgotten to keep recording and were just watching this scene. It's not too late, I said quietly. We can still become a real family now. The kind of family filled with genuine love that the children wish for. Michael and Emma took a tentative step toward their parents. That small step was the beginning of a new kind of family. A year has passed since then. After Sunday service at the First Presbyterian Church of San Francisco, we gathered in the church courtyard. In the gentle autumn sunlight, Emma was showing off her new leotard for her upcoming ballet recital. Mother peered through her glasses, listening intently to Emma's words. Grandma, what do you think of this costume? Aunt Jenny and I picked it out together. It's beautiful, dear. I'm looking forward to your recital. You promise? don't forget. Yes, I'll never break an important promise again. Mother's voice trembled slightly at those words. The incident at the airport last year brought significant changes to our family. Since that day, my parents began receiving professional counseling. Mother stopped trying to maintain appearances on social media and instead started valuing actual time with family. Father also changed his intimidating attitude and began listening to what the children had to say. My sister Caroline changed dramatically too. Though her Instagram followers decreased significantly, she doesn't seem to mind anymore. Instead, she spends weekends playing with the children in the park and baking homemade treats. Her husband Stephen has also adjusted his work schedule to make time for family. Hey, look. Michael came running over with his science test paper. I got 100. I studied using the method Aunt Jenny taught me. That's wonderful. Father beamed with pride. This weekend, why don't we go to the California Academy of Sciences? I heard they have a new dinosaur exhibit. The children's care is now shared between me and my sister's family. They spend weekdays with my sister's family and weekends at my apartment. I take the lead in making educational decisions, with my parents being cooperative. Financially, we've reformed the previous unbalanced support system, now sharing the children's educational expenses fairly. The change began with the introduction of family meetings. Every last Sunday of the month, after church service, the whole family gathers to talk. We openly discuss everything: the children's school life, extracurricular activities, family event planning, and make sure to listen to Michael and Emma's opinions too. Where would you like to go for our next family vacation? Father brought this up at our recent family meeting. How about Hawaii again? For a moment, the air froze at those words. It'll be different this time. We'll truly enjoy it together as a family. No thinking about Instagram. My sister said in a gentle voice. I actually want to see the volcanoes. Could we visit the Kilauea Volcano Observatory? Michael suggested somewhat shyly. I'd like to visit the Hawaii branch of my ballet school. Emma voiced her wish too. Those are wonderful ideas. Mother smiled. But this time, I'll take photos in moderation and make sure to really see the sights before me. At those words, I internally breathed a sigh of relief. The changes had definitely taken root within us. Looking back, the incident at the airport went viral on social media and caused quite a stir. My sister's followers dropped dramatically, and Mother's standing at church was temporarily jeopardized. But perhaps that was the purification we needed. The mask of the perfect family, full of pretense and vanity, fell away, revealing underneath the face of a real family trying to genuinely connect, despite their wounds. The old bells of First Presbyterian Church rang out in the autumn sky. We gathered on the church steps to take a commemorative photo. This time, there were no forced smiles. As the shutter clicked, Emma squeezed my hand tightly. Michael sat on Father's lap, opening his dinosaur book. Mother and sister stood close together with natural smiles, and Stephen kept his smartphone in his pocket as he gazed lovingly at his family. The photo captured the blue of the sky, the green of the trees, and above all, our family's authentic happiness. We weren't perfect, but we were a family bound by genuine love. Hey, Aunt Jenny. Emma looked up at me. We've found happiness, haven't we? I stroked her head gently as I answered. Yes, we've all found true happiness together. The scent of roses planted in the church garden wafted on the autumn breeze. It seemed to herald the beginning of a new season.